Hey everyone, it's Mr. Montgomery again. Today we are going to do lesson number 2 in Unit 8. So remember, we are using our new Robot Turtle books, our Volume 2 ones. So remember, on the spine of the book, you should see it says VOL.2. That means Volume 2. This is our second Robot Turtle book that we are using for the school year. And the page we are on in this book is page 329. Okay? So if you're not on that page, please make sure that you pause the video, make sure you're on page 329, and then hit the play button. Alright? So let me clear this page. There is something I want to make sure I go over with you guys before we get started. So before we get started with our lesson, because we're going to have to do a little bit of drawing here. So there's two main shapes that we're going to use for this beginning part of our lesson. Okay, so our first shape is going to be a rectangle. A very skinny rectangle, just like this. Okay, and this, we're going to say that this shape right here, is going to be a 10. It's going to be a set of 10. Because if we had a whole bunch of connecting cubes, we could make 10 cubes connect like this, and it'll make I like to call these tentrods. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So if we were in school and had our connecting cubes, we could make a little tower like this with all those cubes. And we could make a 10 rod, or you call it a 10 stick, 10 tower, whatever you want. Either way, there will be 10 cubes right there, okay? That is why we're calling this shape a 10. Now you do not have to draw all these little lines on the inside showing each cube. You don't have to do that. As long as you just draw the skinny rectangle, we will be a-okay. Okay? Because I know that putting all this extra detail can take up a lot of time. So this will be our set of 10. Alright, the next shape I want to make sure I show you before we get started. Clear some space here. Alright, the next shape is just going to be a simple square. And these are going to be little cubes. And these guys are going to be our ones. Alright, so if you see draw a little cube like this, or if you see one on one of the pages, these just mean that there are one. There's only one, or if you're counting by ones. Okay, so we have our ones cubes and we have our tens rods. Okay, so this is just 1. This is a 10. All right, just want to make sure I cover that before we get started. Okay, now let me make some space here. We're going to start with our lesson, and we're going to read this little question that they gave us right here at the top. It says, how are 2 10s and 20 ones alike and different? Now, when we see the word alike, that just means how are they the same? How are 2 10s and 20 ones the same? And they also want us to be able to tell how are they different. Okay, so let's start with our 2 10s right here on our page. If we had 2 10s, well, I just showed you that shape that we're going to draw, right? That really skinny rectangle. Let's draw those really skinny rectangles. And since they want 2 10s, we are just going to draw 2. So there's 1 and 2. And remember, we are using our imagination, pretending that these are a whole bunch of ones cubes put together to make a set of 10. I'm just going to do the lines real quick to help you guys visualize that. Remember, you do not have to do these little detail lines. But these are our sets of 10. Okay, we have two 10s. Now, if we had those little cubes, remember these little cubes that we made earlier that I just showed you? And these count as counting by ones. How many are we going to need to draw for 20 ones? We're just going to need 20. Well, not, maybe the word just is not the right word to use. It's quite a few ones cubes we're going to draw. So let's go ahead and draw 20 squares together. Because if we were in school, we would have these little cubes that we could connect, and each one by itself just counts as one. So let's go ahead and draw 20. Now what I like to do is I like to make a row of 5. And we're going to need 4 rows of 5. And you'll see in a second why I like using rows of 5s for this. Alright, almost done. Keep drawing. Remember, your squares don't have to be perfect. Because when we focus on our squares looking absolutely perfect, well, that can sometimes take up a little too much time. So we're not going to worry about how beautiful these squares are. So now, I made 4 rows of 5, okay? I have a row of 5 here, here, right there, and there. And I like doing this because it's kind of like always, because we know what a 10 frame is like. We know what a 10 frame looks like. We know how to use it. And check this out. When you make rows of 5, it's kind of like you have your own 10 frame. Always there, ready. So that's why I like to do that. Okay, so it looks like we filled up a whole 10 frame. And we have the same thing right down here. We have 2 more rows of 5. So we know that we have 10 right here, and we have 10 down here. Now, how are making 2 10s and 20 1s the same? Think about it for a second. How are these two the same? Well, the main way that they are the same is they make the same total. If we have 2 10s, watch this. Let's see. Well, with 10s, we know we can count by 10s. We have 10, right? And then 20. So we know that the total number in our for these 2 10s is 20. Now, if we had 20 1s, what is our big total number for 20 1s? Well, it's the number 20, because we just drew 20 squares. So these make the same total. Having 2 sets of 10 is exactly the same as having 20 1s, 20 little squares. It's the same exact thing. Same number, they just look different. You know, and that's how they're different. How they look. Check it out. These 10s, they look very, let's say they look kind of neat, right? They kind of look like 2 towers. And the 1s, well, they take up a lot of space. And it can take a lot of time to draw all those cubes, especially if they want you to draw, I don't know, 50, right? Or 100. Do you know how long that would take? That would take forever. Okay, so now that we know these 2 shapes pretty well, anywhere on your paper, I'm going to give you guys a little math mission real quick before we move on to our next page. So, what I would like you to do is, how would you draw, let's say, 4 10s? How would you draw 4 10s? Any spare space you have on your page, I want you to show me how you would draw 4 10s. And that's it. Okay, now if you're still working, pause the video. Okay, hit that space bar, pause the video, and whenever you're ready, play the video and you can check your work. So for my friends that are done, this is how we would draw 4 tens. We would use this rectangle shape, right? We would say here's 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now let me give you another brain teaser here. What big number does 4 10 rods make? What big number do they make? Because remember, there's a whole bunch. There's 10 cubes in each one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and I know it's a little sloppy looking, guys. I know. There we go. But there's 10 little cubes in each one. So what big number do these make? Well, since we know that they are tens, we can count by tens. Count 10, 20, 30, and 40. Or if you just counted each one and numbered them 1, 2, 3, 4, and you just add the 0 at the end and you find out the big number. But now let's take a look at this number 40. I'm just going to rewrite it a little bit bigger for us. Now in our number 40, how many tens do we have? We just talked about this. How many tens do we have? We have 4, right? We have 4 tens, so that's why we have a 4 in the tens place. But how many ones do we have in the number 40? Well, if you look at the ones place, which is this space right here, our ones place has 0. There is nothing in our ones place, but we can't just not put a number, so we put a 0. So the number 40 has 4 tens and 0 ones. Now this is always very important to remember and practice. So whenever we see any number here that has 2 digits, the first digit, like let me rewrite this number 20 right here. Remember the first digit when we have a 2-digit number, this first digit is our tens place, and the second digit is our ones. That will never ever change. So for the number 20, for example, we had 2 tens and 0 ones. Okay? If you're confused about this at all, make sure you ask your teacher about it at the end of the video. Maybe she can give you, or he can give you just a little bit more examples or direction about how to remember this. But the way I always remembered it is with a 2-digit number like 40. That first digit is our tens place. The second digit is our ones place. Okay? So let's go ahead and turn our page and go on to the next set of problems for us to practice. Alright, so now your page number should be 330. That should be the page you're on. We see more of these 10 rods, as I like to call them. And you have a little boy up top, at the top of the page, playing with some cubes and making them into 10 rods. And he's counting by tens. So let's look at problem number 1. We're going to just walk through this one together. Oh, zoomed in too much. Okay, I know they kind of did for us, which is why I'm just going to walk us through it real quick. Okay, so what they're asking for each part is they want to know how many tens, then how many ones, and what big number it makes. Okay, so we know that each one of these towers is a 10, so we can just number them and count. 1, 2, 3. So we have 3 tens. So how many ones do we have? Do we have any ones cubes that might look like this? No, they did not give us any ones cubes. So since we don't have any ones cubes, we have 0. So we're going to put a 0 in that next space because we don't have any ones. It's that easy. So if we have 3 tens, what big number does it make? Well, what I like to do, when I see it laid out like this, where it says how many tens and ones, watch this. If I put the 3 up here, right? and take that 0, bring it up here, we get the number 30. So they're telling us what number is in the tens place. Let me get a different color here. They tell us what number is in the tens place, and it's a 3. So we have 3 tens. And then they tell us how many is in the ones place. We have a 0 in the ones place. And we put it right there. So all you have to really do is just smush these two numbers together, and they make the number 30. All right. So when they ask us how many tens, this is the number that goes in the tens place. And when they say how many ones, this is the number that goes in the ones place. You put them together and they make the big number 30. That's it. And you do this for any problem at all. So go ahead and try number 2. Try number 2 on your own, and then we will do it together. Okay, if you're still working, do me a favor, pause the video, take your time, put all your effort into this problem, try your best. If you're all done this already, well, we're just going to continue on. So, first thing we're going to do is we're going to see what we have. Well, we have a whole bunch of tens rods, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to number them. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they ask us, how many tens do we have? Well, we just counted them, right? We had 5. So I put a 5 here for tens. And how many ones do we have? Do we have any ones cubes? We do not. So I'm going to put a 0. And what big number does this make? Well, we know that we have a 5 in the tens place and a 0 in the ones place. Remember my little trick? You can just kind of smush these two numbers together because we have a 5 in the tens, we have a 0 in the ones. It makes the number 50 when you put them together. And that's where we're going to write here on this last line, the number 50. And that's it. That's all there is to it. Don't overthink this. This is one of those things where it's easy to say, you know what, this just seems too easy. There's no way I'm doing it right. Trust me, you are. Don't second guess yourself. It is just as easy as I'm showing you. This is not a very complicated lesson. All right, before we head off onto our independent work, let's try one more. Except you're going to draw a picture again here. It says, how many tens are in the number 90? So I want you to draw me a picture and show me how many tens there are in the number 90. And you should have a little space on your workbook that looks just like this. And you're going to draw me a quick picture. Remember the two shapes that we've been working with. We've been working with these tens rods, as I like to call them. These really long, skinny rectangles. And then our ones cubes. Okay? All right, now if you're still working on this, go ahead, pause the video again. Take your time. Don't rush. For my friends that are just super fast at drawing, let's draw this out. So if we have the number 90 and we want to see how many tens, well, here's all we're doing. We're going to look at the tens place, which is our first number in any two-digit number, and we have the number 9. So how many rectangles do you think we're going to draw? We're going to draw 9. So here's 1 rectangle, 2 rectangles, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. I'll just smush it over here. So we have 9 rods, which just look like rectangles. See how they kind of look similar to these over here? Okay. So we have the number 90 drawn into tens. 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90. And there we go. That's it. And then don't forget, for this number 90, if you look at the tens place, which is the first number in any 2-digit number, you have 9 tens, and then you have 0 ones. Okay? That's it. So if you are not in my classroom, please pause the video, let your teacher know that you're all done, and ask him or her what they would like you to do next for your classwork. For my friends in my classroom, we are going to do our online assignment that I give you every single day. So let's go check that out. Alright, so what I would like you guys to do is go into our Google Classroom, right? Click on Classwork at the top. And then your assignment will be right here. It says 8-2, quick check. Okay? Look for 8-2. It might be a slightly different spot, but it's right around the top there. Alright, if you have any questions, make sure you pop into the classroom. You can either sit through the rest of the lesson if I'm still teaching our other friends in the classroom, or if you just have a quick question, you can of course raise your hand. I will help you out. Other than that, there's only a few questions. I think you guys will do just fine on it. And as soon as you're done, you can go on Pink Cat and practice any math skill you like. Remember, a math game, not a reading or phonics game. Okay, guys? So that's it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you understand everything that we discussed. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good day.